Hi everyone, I'm doing a book review today on The Spinster Bride. This is written by Ruby Dixon. It is 4 hours long. I listened to it on Audible because it was for free. I have read multiple Ruby Dixon books. I will say that this is probably my least favorite, but I think part of that is just due to you don't really get connected to the characters as much as you do in some of her other books. So Halia is our main female lead in the beginning. She is 16. She is the princess of a kingdom, and our main male lead is Matthew, and at the beginning of the book he is 8 or 6, somewhere around that. Her father has captured him. He is the son of a chief to the clan called the Cyclops. They're not actually Cyclops. They're more like barbarians or Vikings is kind of how I pictured them in my mind's eye. And once they get to a certain age and they prove themselves worthy, they will actually willingly let their eyeball be cut out, because as fierce warriors, they only need one eye to succeed in battle. That's just kind of their tradition and whatnot. So she has him in her quarters with all of her ladies in waiting because there is a battle going on outside. Matthew's father has come with his army of men to take over the kingdom and to basically rescue his son. So Halia has him in the room, and part of the reason why he's in the room is because her and her father kind of figured that if the battle was to go wrong, that people would come and kill him. And that's what happens. Her father ends up dying in battle, and people who were once working for the king go to her because she is now the queen and demand that the boy gets executed, where she says no because he is still a child, and she feels like that's unjust. Now they do listen to her because she stands her ground, and she is the queen at that point in time. Now Matthew says that he will always remember her bravery and that he will talk to his father to make sure that she stays alive. And he does. Because of this, she gets sent to basically a monastery in like a neighboring kingdom to be held there in secret, and 16 years pass. You don't see anything within that 16-year time frame. It's just like that was all in chapter 1, and then chapter 2 is like 16 years later, Matthew is now the king because his dad died, and his disciples are saying that something needs to be done about the princess because she's still alive and there could be an uprising. So Matthew, loving her this whole time and wanting to be with her, decides he's going to go marry her. And he does. He goes to the monastery. He tells her that he wants to marry her. She's very hesitant throughout the whole book about wanting to marry him. Not because she doesn't like him, nor is it that she doesn't love him or find him attractive. It's because she's so old. So she's 33 when he goes to marry her, and he's like 24 or however old he is. And she's like set and determined to be like, well, I'm really old and I don't have much to my name, so like why would you want to marry me? And he's very open and honest, being like, well, because I love you and I've loved you since I was a child and I want to be with you and you're still gorgeous. And she's like, I don't know, I get originally being like that, but even like towards like the end of the book, like the last chapter or two, I think she was like, she was still hung up on that and just like reiterated it again to him, to the point like she brings it up like 3 or 4 times throughout the book, that she's old and her boobs are going to be saggy and she might not be able to bear children. And every time he's just like, well, you're beautiful and I love you and your age doesn't matter, nor does your wealth matter, because she doesn't have any. So she does agree to marry him when she's at the monastery, but she has to go through several trials first. Now these trials reminded me of one of Pepper Winter's books, because the first trial is she has to stand naked in front of everybody to make sure she has no impurities, and then the second trial is he has to taste her until she is satisfied. And then like the third one is like the betting, right? But the tasting one, there has to be other people present to make sure that she has actually been satisfied. In general, I really liked the idea of the story, and the first chapter really had me. Like, I was really interested. I thought it was a really cool concept because it's really different than a lot of Ruby's other writings. She does a lot of alien romances that I've read, and like the dragon romances, and I really enjoy those. So this was like a little different for her that I've read. But I just feel like actual story kind of got lost with a lot of the lust that the characters felt for each other, and a lot of like the sexual stuff. And I love sexual stuff in books. I do. I live for that. I really do. I just kind of felt like it was so much that it dampered down any of the story that was actually there. And like I said, part of it could be because it's not a long story. It's a really short story. So that might be part of the issue as well. I do think though that if she expands on it, because in the story, the Matthew talked about having his generals married off to princesses or other higher ups from, you know, her kingdom. I think that those would be interesting stories as well to read. I just wish there was I wish there was more to this one. I think it would have made it better, personally. I wasn't like absolutely crazy about the book. Like, it didn't just like blow me away. I don't think it was necessarily a bad book, but this is definitely one I would not come back to, nor would I read or listen to again. It's just kind of like a one and done kind of thing. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.